Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and our guests today are Laura Callanan of Upstart Co-Lab and Kelly Lindquist, who is with Artspace Projects, or Artspace. Kelly, Laura, yes. Thank you, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to have you, and you're part of a new partnership that also includes the Calvert Foundation to do impact investments in the businesses for artists. And I'm really interested to get more. You've given me some preliminary information that I've used to write a short piece for Forbes, and we're excited to incorporate this article into that piece so that we can explore a little bit more about what you've told me and now the rest of the world about this new partnership. Laura, why don't you take a moment and just explain the vision that you have and how it's being built?
Sure. Well, Upstart Co-Lab is a new collaboration we launched in April of this year, and we connect artists, impact investors, and social entrepreneurs. Our purpose is to create opportunities for artist innovators to deliver social impact at scale. And one way we think we can do this is by unleashing more capital for creativity, connecting impact investors who care about arts and the creative economy with creative places and creative businesses so that those ideas, those great solutions can grow. And working with the folks at Artspace and talking with colleagues like the Calvert Foundation, various wealth partners, B-Lab, it's all been part of an exploration to see how we can repurpose existing tools and approaches that have already become very popular in the impact investing space and redirect those resources now for arts and creativity.
Well, this is exciting. Kelly, why don't you describe for us the role that Artspace will play in this new collaboration?
Great. I'm the president of Artspace, and we are a nonprofit real estate developer for the arts. We build and operate buildings where artists live or work, perform, or exhibit across the United States. And we currently own about 42 buildings across the US, from New York City to Santa Cruz, California, where artists do all that wonderful work, as well as bring up their families if it's a live-work building. And as you can imagine, these types of projects take a lot of capital. For example, our East Harlem project was a $53 million project. And sometimes the capital doesn't all come in right at the right time when you're closing and starting construction. And Artspace organizationally has to really rush to try to find bridge dollars to help bridge money that will come in to make the deal work. What this terrific program does, it helps us fill that gap, that bridge money, in a very efficient way that really carries out our goal to make sure that social justice and social impact is done in the community within our buildings and around our buildings.
This is wonderful work, and I think in a very tragic way, your work was highlighted and punctuated by the terrible fire in Oakland. I guess it's now been about 2 weeks ago, but just tragic. But it was an art space, not your product, but it was a place where artists were living that burned to the ground there.
Yeah, what a tragedy. It's hard to even go beyond that. It's so sad for the families and the community. And it's a very tragic call to arms, I think, for the rest of us across the United States to do our best to create safe, affordable place where working artists can perform and work and live. So, it just doubles our energy to do the work that we're doing across the United States.
Now, Laura, there are a lot of people interested in this discussion. Many of them are watching us live right now, and others I'm sure will watch recordings. What I think they want to know is how they can get some money. So if I'm an artist with a building today, where do I go? What do I do? How do I find some of this money that you're trying to allocate and aggregate?
So that's the key to the conversation. What our Upstart Co-Lab is trying to do, and the reason we seek out partners like an Artspace or a Calvert Foundation or folks like that is we are building what's called the enabling infrastructure. We're building the ecosystem that won't just fund one project tomorrow or another project next week, but will make it possible so that millions and billions of dollars can continue to flow to creative places and creative businesses for many, many years to come. And in some ways, what we're doing is framing and naming and organizing a lot of work that's already been going on. Kelly's really modest when he talks about Artspace, but Artspace has been doing their wonderful work across the country for decades. They've developed a model to show how you can invest in apartment buildings and workspaces, charge affordable rents to artists, and pay back the financing that's made those buildings possible. What we want to do is make it easier for the impact investor or the foundation or institution that's doing mission-related investing who want to devote their capital to their values around art and creativity. We want to make it easier for them to be able to direct their investment to arts and creativity. So right now what we're lacking is sort of the connecting of the dots. We've got the tools, we've got the products, we've got the great projects to be financed, but it's difficult for an individual investor or even an institutional investor to call up their wealth manager and say, I want to do some impact investing in arts and creativity. And JP Morgan and the Global Impact Investing Network did some research recently, and they clarified that they found 0% of impact investing dollars were going to the arts. And I think that what that really means is there aren't easy tools and products that you can opt into that allows you to direct your money there. But obviously, Artspace, a number of small businesses in fields like food and fashion and design have been financed through community development finance institutions for many, many years. So it's just a matter of making it more accessible and organized around themes and in targeted ways.
Yeah, so is Calvert now allowing people, Calvert is a great institution, and I just love Calvert because they allow ordinary investors to invest small amounts of money in their impact notes. Are some of those dollars now going into your program?
Well, there was an exciting event that happened in November, and this was an example of an impact investor who had actively been looking for opportunities to deploy some of her portfolio to arts and creativity. She's an artist herself, and we were able to connect her with the Calvert Foundation. She was able to make a purchase of the community investment note, and that supported a loan that Calvert extended to Kelly and his colleagues at Artspace, and allows Artspace to then go ahead and do their amazing work. So that's one example of a very, how we connected the dots from the investor through the product to the project. So stay tuned. Hopefully in the coming years, Upstart will be successful as we pursue similar types of approaches with other partners, and there'll be more ways for impact investors to align with their values around creativity and the creative economy.
Yeah, well, this is exciting times, and I love Calvert, as I said, in part because they allow ordinary investors to participate in that. In that particular case that you were talking about, I think that was $1 million note, right?
Yes.
So not really an ordinary investor kind of investment, but still a great first step in building the success around your program. Let me just ask, Kelly, where you hope to see this go and grow in the coming months and years.
Great. Yeah, we are so honored to be part of this program with Laura and Upstart Co-Lab. So it's a great start for us. We also have been honored to be part of similar or closely similar programs from the Ford Foundation and the Kresge Foundation over the last 3 or 4 years as they are trying to figure out how they can get more money out into the community through organizations such as Artspace that in the end bring good social impact to the communities in our buildings and around our buildings. So we are looking for more of this type of reinvestment we are a nonprofit, but as a well-run business as well, being a good nonprofit, we always have to make sure that we go ahead and invest this wisely, and that we always know that we can pay this back. So this is our board of directors is always making sure that if we do take a loan like this, that we are able to pay it back so that we can keep this 100% good record that we've had for 30 years on taking loans and program-related investments. So
one of the things that you pointed out in our earlier interview is that you have developed a structure that allows you to keep the properties you own and manage affordable across generations. How have you structured that to create that impact?
So how do we make sure that we keep this affordable across generations, but also permanently? Our Artspace as a nonprofit, we very much aim to create our buildings so that all of the fundraising, all the gathering of money that we bring together to either build a new building or renovate a building takes 4 or 5 years sometimes to get it all done right when the projects are big. And yet those monies are financed and they're built in a way into the project where they do not have to be paid back unless the character of the project hugely changed. So as long as it's kept for affordable housing and as long as the focus is on creativity and artists, there's no need to ever pay these dollars back in many cases. Therefore, we can keep through the rents that we get from the artists and creative businesses that we have in our buildings. We're able to keep it forever running as a very vibrant enclave of creativity, even as economic development grows and grows around our buildings.
Fantastic. It's a great model. Laura, what inspired this as you were thinking about this? What was the catalyst in your mind?
Well, my personal connection to this is I married a playwright and a novelist, and through my husband, I got to meet some of America's most outstanding composers and visual artists and writers and actors, and I learned that they think and approach problems and see the world differently from the way that I do. In my work, I've had the honor of working at places like the Rockefeller Foundation and the United Nations and McKinsey & Company social innovation practice. And there are a lot of discussions around how do we bring more creative solution to solve problems in our communities. But the people having these conversations about creative solutions are not artists or creative people. They're MBAs and PhDs and very skilled and dedicated people, but they all will be looking at these problems in one way. And my goal with Upstart is to create the opening, the opportunity, the capital, the path, so that really creative people can be part of this problem solving, can be welcomed in and supported and enabled to take their ideas and their solutions to scale. And I think that will truly help us to bring some new solutions to some old challenges and problems in our communities.
Yeah, brilliant. Kelly, you are a role model to a lot of people. You've been at this, as you mentioned, for 30 years. You've provided live work spaces and other properties for artists for thousands of people. Who do you look up to as a role model?
Boy, there are a lot of people I look up to. I'll of course mention family members that have been gave me the right values, but also in the greater community. I have to say, often it's the artist, and I think Laura was kind of echoing that on how she got involved in this, where artists have such creativity, and you'll spend 3 or 4 days working with a creative community that perhaps is in a space that is unsafe. And someone like me, I get very, very charged up. My entrepreneurial spirit is going, I have something that these artists don't have, and that is the ability to turn this into a business venture with a nonprofit mission that can actually harness this and make it grow in a safe way for the community. So I think I look at the artists. There are many, many administrators across the country and hardworking foundation people and people on my board and staff that have been my role models as well. And I do want to add that something that's so thrilling about this Upstart Co-Lab and Calvert Foundation relationship is that we have been able to get great money in the past for specific projects but the type of money that Kresge and Ford, and in this specific instance, in this specific way, Calvert Foundation gives to us is national. We're able to see what do we need from a national point of view. It really allows us to be nimble the way that we have not been able to be in the past.
Now that is exciting. Kelly, what about you? Or excuse me, Laura, you too are a role model. You've spent your whole career in the social impact space. Who do you look up to and who inspires you?
Yeah, there's a very particular person who's at the heart of this for me, and his name is Jim Houghton, and he was the founding artistic director of Signature Theater Company here in New York City. If people don't know about Jim, there's a profile of him as an artist innovator on the Upstart Co-Lab website. And when people credit Jim for what he's contributed to the community, they describe how he created a platform, he prepared the platform that allowed each of them to take risks and be creative themselves and to have impact. So I'm aspiring that we could do the same thing here at Upstart Co-Lab. If we can create the right platform, we can allow other people to take risk, to be creative, and to have impact. So I'm inspired by what he's accomplished and trying to see how much of that we can echo in our work here.
Kelly, we like to ask all of our guests for an impact hack, some tip that would help us to do more good in the world, and you've certainly done a lot of good. What's your impact hack?
I like that. Well, off the top of my head, it is to take that little extra step of kindness. Sometimes that can be very small, and I'm a great believer in small steps lead to big ones. In helping neighbors or giving money to your local institutions that are helping the poor or the homeless, and grow from that. So my impact acts start with small steps and then can lead to larger ones.
Now that's great. Great insight. Laura, what's your impact hack?
So for me, it's about making connections, connecting one person who should be working with or talking to or knowing about another person, connecting an example of how something worked in one field or one geography to another field where they're trying to solve a similar problem or want to not make the same mistake again. So it's building those bridges and connecting those dots. So in some ways, Upstart Co-Lab is me trying to take my personal impact hack to scale.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you both taking the time to be with us today. May I ask Laura just to tell us how people can learn more about Upstart Co-Lab and connect with you personally before you go?
Absolutely. I hope people will visit our website. There's information about what Upstart's doing, but also good background information on the fields of creativity and impact investing and social innovation. Our web address is upstartco-lab.org, and you can find us on Twitter and Facebook through the website. My email's also there.
Great. And Kelly, how can people learn more about and connect with you?
Great. It's easy. Look up artspace.org on the internet, and you'll get right into our world, and it's easy to find my information and connect up with us and also see the projects that we have around the country.
Fantastic. Well, Kelly, I really appreciate your time. Laura, yours as well. It's a pleasure to meet you both, and I wish you every success in expanding the impact investment world for artists.
Thanks, Devin.
Thank you so much. What a great opportunity. Thank you.
All righty. Let's do some good.